The air inside the TV studio was thick with anticipation, charged with a tension that no one could ignore. Across from each other sat two of the world's most prominent figures. One, a celebrated and controversial former president, Donald Trump, whose name had echoed through the halls of history for years, and the other, a man whose rise from military leader to Prime Minister of Burkina Faso had become a symbol of hope and resilience for millions of Africans, Ibrahim Traoré. The cameras rolled, and the audience, both in the studio and around the world, waited on edge for what would unfold. It was the kind of moment where history seemed to pause, holding its breath. The polished studio, with its gleaming lights and the soft hum of equipment in the background, created an almost surreal sense of reality. The stakes were high, not just for the two men on stage, but for the viewers at home, who knew this would not be just another diplomatic exchange. No, this was personal. This was a clash of ideals, values, and worlds. For Traoré, this moment was not just an opportunity to represent his country on the global stage. It was a testament to his journey, his rise from a young officer, determined to protect his people, to a leader who had become the face of a nation yearning for peace and progress. His country had been through wars, coups, and struggles, but Traoré had stood firm, unwavering in his commitment to his people. He was more than just a politician. He was a beacon of hope for Burkina Faso and for Africa as a whole. In stark contrast, Donald Trump was an icon of American wealth, power, and unyielding bravado. He had built an empire and maintained his presence in the media through a mix of controversy, boldness, and calculated maneuvers. His rise had been fueled by the support of millions of followers who saw in him a champion for the forgotten and the overlooked. But on this night, he was not the undisputed leader of the conversation. He was the challenger, facing a man who had endured the trials of leadership in one of the world's most volatile regions. The interview began with the typical formalities, greetings, pleasantries, and the customary small talk that preceded any political exchange. But as the discussion shifted toward the challenges facing the world today, and more specifically, the future of Africa and its leaders, the tension began to rise. The audience could feel it. The air in the room seemed to grow heavier with each passing second. Trump, never one to shy away from controversy, leaned forward in his seat. He had never been known for his diplomacy, but tonight his words would cut deeper than anyone anticipated. "You're a leader of the people, Ibrahim," Trump began, his voice dripping with the kind of condescension that many had come to expect from him. "But let's face it, you're also a leader of a country that's struggling, a country that has been reduced to rubble. You're fighting a losing battle." The words hung in the air, heavy and accusatory. Ibrahim Traoré's face, usually calm and composed, remained still as ever, his eyes steady, unflinching. He had heard worse from the world's leaders, but something about the way Trump delivered this insult stung deeply. His entire life had been a testament to the struggles of his people, the poverty, the political instability, the violence. And to hear it all dismissed so callously was a bitter pill to swallow. The audience, sensing the shift, fell into a hushed silence. The cameras zoomed in on Traoré's face, capturing the sharpness of his expression, the silent fury beneath his composed exterior. Trump, sensing the growing discomfort in the room, leaned back in his chair, an almost smug smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. He wasn't done yet. "Let's be real here," Trump continued, his voice now laced with an almost mocking tone. "You've been propped up by others. Without foreign aid, without the support of people like me, you'd be nothing. Your country would be nothing. It's a shame, really." The words reverberated in the studio, sending a ripple through the audience. This wasn't just an attack on Traoré, it was an attack on everything he stood for. His country, his people, his very essence had been reduced to nothing but a political pawn, and that was something that Ibrahim Traoré would not stand for. For a moment the room seemed to hold its breath as if everyone had collectively exhaled at once. But then, without warning, Ibrahim Traoré spoke. His voice was calm, steady, and filled with a weight that took everyone by surprise. "Mr. Trump," he said, his words deliberate, each syllable carefully measured, I understand the power you wield. But let me remind you of something. True power doesn't come from wealth or military might. It doesn't come from your billions or the number of followers you have. True power comes from the people. It comes from their strength, their resilience, and their belief in a future better than the one they've been given. The audience, once filled with nervous energy, was now transfixed. Even Trump, usually so quick to respond, found himself momentarily silent. There was something undeniable about the calmness in Traoré's voice. Something magnetic. Ibrahim continued, his voice now rising just enough to command the room. You insult me, he said, his eyes locked with Trump's. But what you fail to understand is that I don't lead from power or privilege. I lead because my people, my brothers and sisters, have placed their trust in me. I have seen their pain, their suffering, and their strength. They are the ones who build this nation. And when you belittle them, you belittle every person who has ever fought for justice, for dignity, for freedom. Trump shifted in his seat, the weight of the words sinking in. The crowd, too, seemed to feel it, a collective shift in energy. There was a stillness now, a heavy pause that made it seem like time itself had slowed. For the first time, Donald Trump was forced to confront not just the words but the power behind them. Ibrahim Traoré's next words were a quiet thunder. You speak of aid, of support, but it is not aid we seek. It is respect. It is dignity. And in the end, Mr. Trump, that is what you will need. When you stand before the people, it is respect, not your wealth, not your military, respect that will define you. The impact of those words settled over the room like a heavy fog. Trump, usually so quick to shoot back, was momentarily caught in the silence. He had no response, not the one he expected to have. And in that moment, something shifted, not just in the room but in the narrative of global power itself. As the cameras rolled, a quiet understanding passed between the two men. Though they came from different worlds, different struggles, there was a certain unspoken truth now between them, a recognition that transcended politics, nationality, or status. Ibrahim Traoré had not just won the battle of words. He had delivered a lesson in leadership, one rooted in humility, respect, and an unwavering belief in the power of the people. And as the interview concluded, Traoré stood, his face composed, but his eyes betraying a quiet satisfaction. He had fought the good fight not just for himself but for his people. His struggle was theirs, and today, the world had witnessed it. For in that moment, Ibrahim Traoré had proven something that no amount of wealth, no amount of power could ever take away. True leadership lies not in what one controls, but in how one serves. As the lights in the studio dimmed and the audience began to disperse, Ibrahim Traoré stepped into the cool night air. He could feel the weight of the world lift just slightly from his shoulders. His people were counting on him, and he would continue to fight for them, no matter the cost. The victory wasn't just in the words spoken, but in the truth that had been shared. The respect that he had demanded was not just for himself, but for all those who had suffered, who had believed, and who had never given up on a better future. If this story touched your heart, consider subscribing for more inspiring tales of hope, healing, and unexpected kindness. Hit the like button and share this with someone who needs it today. Let's keep the message of strength and resilience alive together.